It took me 40 years of marriage to finally understand the truth. And I'm only saying it now because, I don't want you to waste your life like I did.
Marriage is not what they show you in movies, too. It's a constant choice. And the moment you stop choosing, everything starts falling apart.
If you're listening to this right now, don't rush it. Before we begin, tell me where you're watching from. Write your country or city in the comments below. Because what I'm about to share isn't just my story, it belongs to anyone who has ever loved someone and assumed they had more time. I lost my wife after 40 years of marriage. And no one prepares you for what comes after the funeral. Not the quiet, not the guilt, not the moments that break you when you least expect them. People think grief arrives loudly, with tears, sobbing, collapse. But for me, grief arrived as silence. The kind of silence that sits beside you at the table. The kind that answers back when you speak her name. The kind that makes your own house feel like a stranger. My name doesn't matter much anymore. What matters is her. Her name was Margaret. She used to wake before me every morning, even in her later years. I'd hear the soft clink of a spoon against a cup, the radio playing low, always the same station, always songs from decades ago. I used to complain about that radio. I'd say, "Can't we listen to something new for once?" She'd smile and say, "One day you'll miss this noise." I laughed. I didn't know how expensive that laughter would become. We met when we were young and stupid and convinced time was endless. She wore a yellow dress the first day I saw her. Not because it was fashionable, but because it made her feel brave. She told me that years later, 40 years of marriage sounds impressive when people say it out loud. They say things like, "You're lucky. That's real love. You did it right." What they don't tell you is that long love hides shortcomings very well. Because when you believe you have forever, you postpone the important things. You say, "We'll talk later. I'll apologize tomorrow. There's time." That sentence, "there's time," is the most dangerous lie I ever believed. Margaret got sick quietly. No dramatic collapse. No emergency alarms. Just small changes. She'd forget where she put things. She'd sit longer before standing up. She stopped humming while cooking. I noticed, but I didn't act. I was tired, busy, distracted by work, bills, routines. I thought being present meant being in the same room. I was wrong. The night she finally told me she was afraid, I didn't listen the way I should have. She said, "Something feels off, and I don't know how to explain it." I said, "You're probably just exhausted. We'll check it later." Later. That word again. Later never arrived. The hospital room smelled like disinfectant and fear. Machines beeped in patterns I learned too quickly. Her hand felt smaller than I remembered. She looked at me and said something I still hear at night. "Promise me you won't disappear when I'm gone." I nodded. I didn't understand what she meant. Now I do. She passed on a quiet morning. No dramatic last words. No movie moment. Just a breath that didn't return. I held her hand long after the nurse left. I kept waiting for her fingers to move. They never did. The house after that was unbearable. Her shoes still by the door. Her coat still on the hook. Her cup still beside the sink. I almost threw everything away that first week. Not because I didn't love her, but because it hurt too much to see proof that love had an ending. That's lesson number one I learned, and it nearly destroyed me. Love doesn't end when someone dies. It just has nowhere to go. People visited. They brought food. They said kind things. Then they left. And life expected me to continue. But I couldn't sleep in our bed. I slept on the couch like a guest in my own home. Every night, I reached for her without thinking. Every morning, I remembered again. One evening, weeks later, I found her old notebook. Inside were small things she never said out loud. I was like, "I wish he'd talk to me more at night. He doesn't notice when I'm quiet. I know he loves me. I just wish he showed it differently." That notebook broke me more than her death. Because she wasn't asking for grand gestures. She was asking for presence. Here's what I learned too late, and I need you to hear this clearly. Love is not proven by how long you stay. It's proven by how deeply you show up. I stayed 40 years. But there were moments she needed me, and I chose comfort instead, routine instead, later instead. If the person you love is still breathing right now, still sitting in the next room, still texting you, "I'm fine," when they're not, please, don't wait. Say the thing. Ask the question. Sit beside them without your phone. Listen without planning your reply. Because one day, silence will answer for them. If you're still here, thank you. That tells me this story already touched something in you. Before we continue, like this video and subscribe to our channel. This helps us grow. Thank you. After Margaret died, people kept telling me, "You did your best. You were a good husband. Don't blame yourself." They meant well. But here's the truth no one likes to admit. You can love someone deeply and still fail them in quiet ways. Not by cruelty, not by betrayal, but by absence. I used to believe love was proven by big things. Providing, staying loyal, not walking away. And yes, those matter. But love is also proven in the smallest moments. Moments I dismissed as unimportant. Like when she wanted to talk at night. I was always tired. I'd say, "Can we talk tomorrow? I've had a long day." Tomorrow became a habit. Margaret stopped asking. That should have scared me, but I didn't notice. Because when someone loves you, they don't always complain loudly. Sometimes they go quiet. There was a phase where she started watching TV alone in the bedroom. I stayed in the living room. Not because we were angry. Not because we were fighting. Just comfortable distance. I thought, we're married. We don't need to be glued together. What I didn't understand was this. Distance doesn't always come from conflict. Sometimes it comes from neglect. After she passed, I replayed moments endlessly. Not the good ones. The missed ones. The time she sighed and I ignored it. The time she said, "Never mind." The time she smiled, but her eyes asked for more. There's a special kind of pain that comes from realizing someone needed you, and you were right there. One afternoon, months later, I found her favorite sweater. Still smelled like her. I held it against my chest and sat on the floor like a child. That's when the second lesson hit me, hard. Love needs maintenance. Not attention when it's convenient, attention when it's boring. Anyone can show up for anniversaries. Anyone can show up for emergencies. But real love lives in the ordinary. And I treated ordinary moments like they'd last forever. Margaret used to leave me notes. Small ones. "Don't forget your lunch. Drive safe. I love you." I rarely wrote back. I told myself she knew I loved her. But knowing isn't the same as feeling. That's lesson number 3. Love unspoken slowly starves. I remember one night clearly. She asked me, "Do you still see me, or just the routine?" I laughed it off. Said something stupid like, "Of course I see you." But I didn't ask why she asked. I didn't stop to listen. That question still haunts me. After she died, I learned something terrifying. You don't miss people the most when they're gone. You miss them when you realize you didn't fully see them while they were here. Grief changes your relationship with time. Every later becomes an accusation. Every memory asks, "Why didn't you stay longer here?" I used to think regret came from bad decisions. I know. Regret often comes from delayed love. If you're married, if you're in a relationship, if someone in your life quietly loves you, please hear this from a man who learned too late. Don't wait for a reason to be kind. Don't wait for a crisis to listen. Don't wait for absence to create presence. Because when love leaves, it doesn't come back to explain what it needed. In part 3, I'll share the mistake I repeated for decades without noticing. The moment I finally understood Margaret's last promise. And the one thing I do every day now to survive the silence. If this story matters to you, subscribe and stay. And once again, tell me where you're watching from in the comments. We're not done yet. There was a promise Margaret made to me years before she died. At the time, I thought it was sweet. Now I know it was a warning. She said, "If anything ever happens to me, promise me you'll keep living." I laughed. Told her, "We're growing old together. Don't talk like that." But she looked serious. Not scared. Not sad. Prepared. I didn't ask why. That was my pattern. Avoiding uncomfortable conversations. When she passed, that promise became unbearable. Because I didn't know how to keep living without her. I woke up every morning reaching for a body that wasn't there. The house didn't feel empty. It felt unfinished. Like a sentence cut off in the middle. People think grief is loud. Crying. Breaking down. Public sadness. But the hardest grief is quiet. It's making one cup of coffee instead of two. It's hearing silence where laughter used to live. It's realizing no one knows your daily habits like they did. Grief is realizing your witness is gone. For months, I stayed stuck. I replayed my mistakes like punishment. I convinced myself I didn't deserve peace. Then one night, something small changed everything. I was sitting in her chair. Her chair. The one she always said was hers. I never used it before. I sat there and noticed something I never had. A stack of old notebooks. Her handwriting. I opened one. They weren't diaries. They were reflections. Thoughts about life. About love. About me. She wrote, "Love isn't about perfection. It's about effort when it's inconvenient." I stopped breathing for a moment. Because she wasn't angry. She wasn't bitter. She understood me more than I understood her. That's when lesson number 4 hit me. The people who love us most often forgive us long before we forgive ourselves. Another page said, "I don't need him to be perfect. I just need him to be present." I broke down. Not because she blamed me, but because she didn't. I realized something painful and beautiful at the same time. Margaret didn't leave this world feeling unloved. She left it hoping I would finally understand love. That night, I decided to honor her promise, properly. Not by moving on, but by moving forward with intention. I started doing the things I used to postpone. Calling people back. Listening longer. Saying, "I love you," without waiting for the right moment. Because there is no right moment. There is only now. I also stopped pretending strength meant silence. I talked about her. I talked about my regrets. I talked about my loneliness. And something surprising happened. People leaned in. They didn't judge. They connected. That's lesson number 5. Vulnerability doesn't make you weak. It makes you reachable. If you're watching this and thinking about someone you love, text them, call them, sit with them without your phone. Don't wait until love becomes memory. The last year of Margaret's life wasn't dramatic. No hospital machines. No long goodbyes. Just ordinary days. And that's what hurts the most. Because if I had known it was the last year, I would have treated every moment like it mattered. But the truth is cruel. You never know when ordinary is actually the ending. Margaret got quieter that year. Not distant. Gentler. She stopped arguing. Stopped correcting me. At the time, I thought we were finally at peace. Now I know the truth. She was letting go. One evening, she sat beside me and asked, "If today was our last normal day, would you be satisfied with how we spent it?" I didn't answer. Not because I didn't care, but because I didn't want to think about endings. That silence, that hesitation, that's the moment I wish I could go back to. Because endings don't ask for permission. They arrive anyway. The night before she died, nothing special happened. No speeches. No final confession. She kissed my cheek and said, "Thank you for choosing me all these years." I replied, "Always." I didn't know that would be the last word I'd ever say to her. After the funeral, everyone slowly returned to their lives. But grief doesn't leave when people do. It sits beside you, eats with you, sleeps next to you. And one morning, weeks later, I realized something terrifying. I had survived her. That realization broke me. Because surviving someone you love feels like betrayal. But then, slowly, another truth emerged. Love doesn't end when someone dies. It changes shape. It becomes memory. It becomes guidance. It becomes responsibility. That's lesson number 6, the hardest one. If you were deeply loved, you don't get to waste the life that remains. I stopped asking, "Why did this happen?" and started asking, "What would she want me to do with the time I still have?" The answer was always the same. Lie awake. Love loudly. Listen fully. Now every morning I say one sentence before I start my day. I want you to hear it. I want you to remember it. I said, today is not guaranteed. So I will not love quietly. If you are with someone right now, please don't wait for the perfect words. Don't wait to feel less busy. Don't wait to become better. Love with what you have, because the people who matter most don't need a better version of you. They just need you, the present. I lost my wife after 40 years. And here's what I learned. Love isn't proven at the end. It's proven every ordinary day before it. If this story touched you, subscribe, not for me, but for the stories yet to be told. And if you're comfortable, tell me in the comments. Who would you choose more intentionally today? Thank you for staying till the end. This was our story.